hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Raw Yogi podcast, where we talk about yoga, life, and the magical mess in between. It's been a while, like since January, and honestly, so much has happened since then. Life was asking me to follow its own rhythm, fast and predictable, and full of challenges. And when that happens, I don't rush to be behind the mic or speak. I wait and let life settle because I only record when I feel genuinely inspired, and that doesn't happen every week or even every month. Besides, this podcast was never meant to be content for content's sake, but my sacred space to share with you from the heart, and I have come to honor that. So, where have I been? I have spent a couple months slowing down deeply. Yes, giving myself full permission to not rush anything, to not keep pushing when my energy felt weak. And Ramadan was the perfect invitation for that. I didn't only fast from food, but from the noise, the urge to be seen, the pull of social media that started to drain me. Even if I am not following a posting calendar, I'm not an influencer, and somehow social media has created some unconscious and healthy habits. I don't know if we can say it this way. Every time I would roll out my yoga mat to do my personal practice, I would feel this urge to record myself. And I would spend the whole hour thinking if the sequence is good enough to be posted. What caption would fit with the vibe? And I end up with useless videos. I don't post any and I have zero focus in my practice. So out of alignment, that's all I can say. So I decided to step back, to allow myself consciously to be unseen, to not create, not post, to not be productive for some times. And in that stillness, I found something I didn't even know I have lost: space. Yeah, just space where my breath deepened, my body softened, and my mind relaxed completely. And also, I needed time to land physically and emotionally. Last year was a big one. I spent it traveling to India for my training, Malaysia to reunite with my soul family, then Bali for all the healing and the chaos it always brings. And earlier this year, I made my way back to Morocco for some times, and let me tell you, coming back here is never just about unpacking suitcases. My God, this land doesn't let you bypass your emotions. It meets you with intensity. I could literally hear the land telling me, welcome back into you think you have evolved? Let's see how much yoga you have integrated. And the answer is not that much. Triggers came rushing in, all the wounds, experiences I thought I have mastered. It's all here. So I needed time to sit with it, without trying to run away from it as fast as possible, without trying to escape, to distract, to avoid, just sitting with all those triggers, letting them exist, embracing those triggers, and letting Morocco do what it always does, breaking my heart open so I can expand. And in this time of silence and deep reflection, here is one topic that has been sitting in my heart for quite some time. Can we really consider teaching yoga as a job? Because many of you might still think it's just a hobby we somehow turned into a career. You will think as yoga teachers, probably we are just spending the whole day in leggings, burning Palo Santo, wearing crystals, and life is magically calm and peaceful. I wish that was true, but stay with me here and let's breathe those filters away, because in this episode, I want to share with you a deeper layer of this path. The one I didn't fully see until I was already in it. The one that doesn't have place on Instagram. It's the raw, humbling, sometimes painful path that slowly shapes you into a teacher. And I'm talking here about the moments of self doubt that sneaks in before the class, the emotional fatigue that doesn't show up in your face but settles in the body, the physical pain. Yes, the physical pain that you can't really explain because you practice all the time and you know it's not coming from movement, it's coming from all the ways the body holds unspoken emotions. And then the dark nights of the soul. Oh boy, not just one. I'm not talking about the phase you go through and come out all glowing. I'm talking about the ones that come again and again in new forms with deeper questions, asking you to look again, to soften more, to let go deeper, to meet yourself where it hurts, where there is shame, where there is guilt, where it's messy. And finally, the moment you wonder if you are qualified to teach anything at all, because this path keeps humbling you. And if I am being honest, over all these years of teaching, I sometimes look back and think my life was much more easier before I became a yoga teacher. It's not that I regret it, not at all. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But I wish more people know about this side too. The messy journey of a space holder, because they don't really prepare you for that. No one talks about this in a yoga teacher training, and there is no manual for all the inner work this path demands. So, welcome to this episode where I will be sharing with you the practice behind the practice, the stuff that cannot be seen on Instagram but only lives in the breath, in the body, and in the silence in between. And as always, don't namaste all I say. I am not preaching the ultimate truth, I'm just sharing my experience. Take only what resonates with your heart and shake the rest like a downward dog in a rainy day. Don't forget to subscribe, to share, to comment. I love reading your thoughts. Let's dive in. Have you ever noticed that sometimes in life there are things we don't plan them, we don't chase them, they find us quietly, unexpectedly, and this is how yoga entered my life. Not as a big career move or some spiritual gesture. I was just there in the room, breathing, moving, learning how to feel safe in my own body, trying to figure life out, and somewhere along the way, the practice asked me to stay, to go deeper, to share. And before I knew it, I was the one at the front of the class asking people to breathe. And it still surprises me how sometimes you have this new path unfolding without you planning it. But since the moment I stepped into this role of a yoga teacher, I do get this question a lot. What do you do for a living? And the moment I answer, I teach yoga, I could see the funny look before they say, oh, cool, but what's your real job? Like, what do you do beside yoga? How can you sustain yourself by only teaching yoga? Which used to get under my skin. I would get super defensive. I would over explain. I used to feel the need to prove myself, to make it sound more serious, more valid, more acceptable, because especially towards family. You know what I mean. I think part of me also needed to believe it. But over time, I have come to see things differently. Now I understand what this path truly requires, and it's way deeper than most people can see. But before we get into the deep stuff, let's take a moment to honor the beginnings. The first stage we go through as yoga teachers. And if you are a yoga teacher listening to me, please share your very, very first experience as a teacher. I would love to hear yours. I think I would call this first phase the everything phase. Everything is so exciting at first. You are curious, you explore, you experiment, and you feel the magic of each technique and tool. And I remember my very first breathwork session. It was mind blowing. I left the room wondering how I could add this into my class. And then my first Kundalini yoga session was so powerful. I wanted everyone to experience these sensations. And I get it, as a new teacher, you are trying to find your voice, your style, your signature. You say yes to everything because you want to be impressive. You want your classes to be fun, creative, and full of wow moments. And you also think of it as a business, something that you want to grow. And of course, by wanting to teach it all and follow the trends, you eventually drift from the heart of the practice and from your own center. Been there, done that, and let me tell you, that's totally okay. It's part of the process because things will shift. Somewhere along the way, you will be faced with a choice. Do I stay here in this shallow phase where the money is good as long as I follow the trends? Or am I brave enough to go deeper? And I would say it's not even a choice or a decision, it's more of an intention you set that will shape your entire teaching journey. And I remember the moment it shifted for me when I began to pause before my classes to look around and see who is in the class, and I realized that not everyone shows up for the good stretch or for the nice playlist or even to feel zen. Over years, I have seen I would say, another reality unfold. Like, I have seen cancer survivors quietly rolling out their mat. I have seen students navigating deep mental health issues in my class. I have seen people barely holding back their tears. And others breaking down in the middle of my class. And I have lost students as well in the middle of this chaos. That's when it landed for me that this path of teaching was never about the sequence or the music or the palo santo or how good you nail the pose. It's always been about one thing. Can I hold space for people to feel what's real, what is true, what aches? Can I sit with someone else's pain without needing to fix it, without judging it, without changing it? Can I be present while someone breaks open without flinching, without retreating, or without making it about me? Because all yoga does is making the dirt inside of you come to the surface to be cleansed. And what you need in that moment is a safe space for this process to happen. So, am I able to create that safe space? And the truth is, I have failed many times. I have panicked in the face of real pain. I have frozen when I didn't know what to say. I have absorbed emotions instead of transmuting them. And many times after some heavy classes, I would go home and tell myself, Inti, you should know how to handle this by now. I mean, I'm a teacher. I trained, I practiced, I have learned so many techniques, but none of that prepared me for the moment someone walks in carrying heavy grief, heartbreak, trauma. And as teachers, we often say we are creating safe spaces. But are we really? Or do we just say it because, it sounds spiritual? And what does it mean to hold space for someone? Uh, Honestly, for a long time, I thought I knew, but the truth is, I had no clue what does it mean to hold space. In fact, I only began to understand it when I was the one who was looking for safe space to hold me. Not physically, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually. And it wasn't something that happened a long time ago. By the way, it was very recent. I had already been teaching yoga for a few years. I was immersed in the healing community. All my people were yoga teachers. Everything around me were supposed to bring me peace. But then came a season of darkness, one I never saw coming, and it cracked something open in me. Boy, this chapter changed everything. How I understood healing, what I thought yoga was, and how I wanted to show up as a teacher. And let me tell you, it didn't feel transformative at first. No, it felt like massive distraction. When I was navigating this phase, every time I would step into my mat, it felt like I was entering a battlefield. Grief, rage, memories, and conscious traumas, it all surfaced. My nervous system was on fire. And even though it was painful, I thought to myself, don't resist it, let it move through you, because I truly believed I was in a safe space. I mean, I was teaching in a respected studio. All my friends, all my community, they are all healers, coaches, yoga teachers. So technically, I was in a good place. But my body was telling me a completely different story. I was feeling so unsafe, and I didn't really understand why, because how could I be in such a conscious environment and feel so unsettled? Something was off, and it kind of confused me because it made me question everything: healing, yoga, spiritual spaces, and this whole safe space thing. What is it? How do we create a safe space? Is it something we create with words? Is it something about like the environment, the air, the presence? What is it? So back then, I went back to Bali. I was still not feeling okay. I was waking up with anxiety that wouldn't go away. I was driving my motorbike around the island for hours, trying to escape the weight, trying to silence the loud scream of my soul. And I was having those dark, intrusive thoughts. I felt like I was losing my mind. And maybe I was, as Rumi said, be willing to lose yourself so you can find your soul. I think I was right there in that mess, soul revealing space. And it's not something you can distract. It's not something you can outrun. And by the way, I am laughing about it right now, but trust me, when I was in the middle of it, I was cursing every single moment of it. And so, this kind of experiences doesn't necessarily require a deep yoga practice or an ayahuasca ceremony to go through this kind of spiritual awakening. No, I truly believe that every soul will have to go through this cleansing, and life will take care of it in a very organic way through a loss, a breakup, health issues, burnouts, something that will crack you open, an event that will hit so hard, it's gonna shake you to the core. Not as a punishment, but as a blessing, a phase that will transform your heart forever. And I know it doesn't sound like something really good, but trust me, it is good. Even if you are feeling lost, if you feel like disconnected from life, from God, from yourself, some people would call it a dark night of the soul, or shift in consciousness, or deep inner awakening, whatever you want to call it. If you are navigating something like that, I just want you to remember something that was helping me as well. You are not broken. You're not alone. You are not crazy. This is not the end. This is the beginning, even if it doesn't look like one. Because this is the moment where the soul is shading all layers. And yes, growth feels heavy. Growth feels messy, overwhelming, even unbearable sometimes. But the good news is you don't have to go through this alone. There are people who understand. There is help that doesn't necessarily advise you to numb your feelings, but the kind of help that holds space for the truth. And that was very, very helpful for me. I remember when I was going through this, that was a breakthrough moment for me. I was in Bali. I wasn't feeling super good. I was literally super hopeless. And I walked to this yoga space, very, very small space. No one knows about it, but I knew the teacher there. I used to go to his classes a lot. And they had this 2 hours vinyasa, and I went to this class 2 hours. And of course, 20 minutes in the class, I was floating on my own tears, completely losing it. I was exhausted. I was drained. It's been going on like this for a couple of months, and I reached a point where I just wanted to run away from myself. And then this teacher came over. He looked at me, not with worry, not with fear, just calm, grounded presence. And he was like, hey, you are disconnecting from your body, so stay here, breathe, and don't stop your practice. And something was different with this guy. He wasn't uncomfortable with my storm. He looked like someone who has been going through something similar. He came out of it, and now he is seeing that storm in me, and he recognized it. And I felt that. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain. I didn't need to hide. Someone saw me and saw my soul's awakening. And in that moment, boy, my body softened. I could have slept in this place. And I had my biggest breakthrough. Because for the first time, I was like, this is what holding space means. Oh boy, it's not a tool, it's not a skill, it's not a technique, it's a presence, it's a way of being. And that specific moment, I was like, how can I become this kind of teacher? You know, the teacher who isn't performing safety, a teacher who is safety. And the more I was asking myself this question, slowly, painfully, lovingly, the answer revealed itself. Not in books, not in new certification, not in how many classes I was teaching, but in the shadows I was willing to face, in the parts of me I didn't want to see in the past, in all the grief I choose not to run away from. Because here is what I know now, with all this experience as a yoga teacher who went through something like that. Your classes can never go deeper than you are willing to go within yourself. And I remember the moment I whispered a quiet intention to myself very long time ago. I didn't even take it seriously, but life did, and it responded. And since that moment, I think everything, every trigger, every challenge, every heartbreak became part of my training. Because I think when you choose this path from the heart, there is no separation between your life and your teaching. They are together, and each class will become a reflection of what's happening within yourself. And your ability to hold space for others is directly shaped by how deeply you have been sitting with your own demons. And that's what no one tells you when you become a yoga teacher. And by the way, this doesn't only apply for yoga teachers. I think this is for anyone who is holding space for others, whether it's in a classroom, a home, a hospital, a conversation. It applies to everyone. And the truth is, we are all holding space for each other all the time. So when you hold space from the heart, you will be asked to face yourself. And I know it's not easy. I'm still learning. I'm still unlearning, still getting it wrong sometimes. But then there are moments when I am teaching and I can see someone in the room breathing a little easier. They feel more safe. I can see that they are letting go of something they have been carrying too long. And I could feel that something softens in me at the same time when I see it happening in front of my eyes. So, to sum up this episode, teaching yoga, I don't think it's a job. It's not even a hobby, it's a higher call. It requires so much inner work. And if you are teaching or simply trying to live with an open heart, I want to say thank you for doing the unseen work. Thank you for staying. Thank you for listening to me. Because at the end, when you think about it, we are all just walking each other home. One breath, one class, one moment at a time. Thank you, my dear friends, for listening to this podcast, for listening to this episode. I see you when I see you. If you have any subject you want me to explore or to share with you, please DM me. Sometimes I'm looking for inspirations. I want to know what can we talk about. And if you have been going through an experience like this, like a deep soul awakening, don't hesitate to share your story with me. Or if you are navigating something like this right now and you feel you need to speak about it, I am all ears. Until I see you next time, have a beautiful day ahead.